Let's begin the tour of solar system. Today we are going to talk about Mars, fourth planet in the solar system in order of distance from the Sun and seventh in size and mass. It is a periodically conspicuous reddish object in the night sky. Mars is designated by the symbol. Sometimes called the Red Planet, Mars has long been associated with warfare and slaughter. It is named for the Roman god of war. As long as 3,000 years ago, Babylonian astrologers called the planet Nergal for their god of death and pestilence. The planet's two moons, Phobos, Greek fear, and Deimos, terror, were named for two of the sons of Ares and Aphrodite, the counterparts of Mars and Venus respectively, in Greek mythology. Mars is less than 56 million kilometers, 35 million miles from Earth at its closest approach, but it recedes to almost 400 million kilometers, 250 million miles, when the two planets are on opposite sides of the solar system. Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system, only larger than Mercury and slightly more than half the size of Earth. It has an equatorial radius of 3,096 kilometers, 2,110 miles, and a mean polar radius of 3,279 kilometers, 2,100 miles. Mars is similar to Earth in many ways. Like Earth, it has clouds, winds, a roughly 24-hour day, seasonal weather patterns, polar ice caps, volcanoes, canyons, and other familiar features. There are clues that billions of years ago, Mars was even more like Earth, with a denser, warmer atmosphere, rivers, lakes, flood channels, and perhaps oceans. The characteristic temperature on Mars in the lower atmosphere is about 200 kelvins, K were 100 degrees, 70 degrees, which is generally colder than the average daytime surface temperature of 250 K, 10 degrees or 20 degrees. In the summer, daytime temperatures can peak at about 290 K, 62 degrees, 17 degrees. The Viking landers are two robotic U.S. spacecraft launched by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, for the study of the planet Mars. Viking 1 landed in the region of Chrysoplanitia, 26 degrees N, 48 degrees W, on July 20, 1976, and Viking 2 landed 6,500 kilometers, 4,000 miles, away in Utopia Planitia, 48 degrees N, 226 degrees, several weeks later on September 3rd. Since at least the end of the 19th century, Mars has been considered the most hospitable place in the solar system beyond Earth, both for indigenous life and for human exploration and habitation. At that time, speculation was rife that the so-called canals of Mars, complex systems of long, straight surface lines that very few astronomers had claimed to see in telescopic observations, were the creations of intelligent beings. Seasonal changes in the planet's appearance, attributed to the spread and retreat of vegetation, added further to the seasonal changes' geologic rather than biological, scientific, and public interest in the possibility of Martian life and an exploration of the planet has not faded. During the past century, Mars has taken on a special place in popular culture. It has served as inspiration for generations of fiction writers from H.G. Wells and Edgar Rice Burroughs in the heyday of the Martian canals to Ray Bradbury in the 1950s and Kim Stanley Robinson in the 90s. Mars has also been a central theme in radio, television, and film, perhaps the most notorious case being Orson Welles' radio play production of H.G. Wells' novel War of the Worlds, which convinced thousands of unwitting listeners on the evening of October 30th, 1938, that beings from Mars were invading Earth. The planet's mystique and many real mysteries remain a stimulus to both scientific inquiry and human imagination to this day. Mars spins on its axis once every 24 hours 37 minutes, making a day on Mars only a little longer than an Earth day. Its axis of rotation is inclined to its orbital plane by about 25 degrees, and, as for Earth, the tilt gives rise to seasons on Mars. The Martian year consists of 668.6 Martian solar days, called sols. Because of the elliptical orbit, southern summers are shorter, 154 Martian days, and warmer than those in the north, 178 Martian days. The situation is slowly changing, however, such that 25,000 years from now, the northern summers will be the shorter and warmer ones. In addition, the obliquity, or tilt, of the axis is slowly changing on a roughly 1 million year timescale. During the present epochs, the obliquity may range from close to zero, at which times Mars has no seasons, to as high as 45 degrees, when seasonal differences are extreme. Over 100 million year timescales, the obliquity may reach values as high as 80 degrees. Mars is a small planet, larger than only Mercury and slightly more than half the size of Earth. It has an equatorial radius of 3,096 kilometers, 110 miles, and a mean polar radius of 379 kilometers, 100 miles. The mass of Mars is only 1/10 the terrestrial value, and its gravitational acceleration of 3.72 meters, 12.2 feet, per second at the surface means that objects on Mars weigh a little more than a third of their weight on Earth's surface. Mars has only 28% of the surface area of Earth, but because more than 2/3 of Earth is covered by water, the land areas of the two planets are comparable. For additional orbital and physical data, see the table. One day on Mars lasts 24.6 hours. It is just a little longer than a day on Earth. 1 year on Mars is 687 Earth days. It is almost twice as long as 1 year on Earth. Mars has 2 moons. Their names are Phobos and Deimos. Mars is the 4th planet from the Sun. That means Earth and Jupiter are Mars' neighboring planets. That's all about Mars today. Hope you like this video and see you in next video. Please subscribe this channel for more videos.